Hey, and welcome to Matt and Jess TV. I am Matt Rose.
And I'm Jessica Bun Bun.
Welcome to our reaction and review for Yellowjackets Season 3, Episode 3. What was that? What's with the million dreams? Ella Purnell is apparently back.
Welcome back, Jackie.
I'm not mad about that. I love Ella Purnell. I was kind of like, how are they going to use her? I knew it was probably going to be some sort of dream sequence, but
Yeah, it was really exciting to see her back again. I mean, I miss seeing her on the show. If you guys haven't seen Sweet Pea,
yeah,
she's a star of that show. Great show. Of course, she's on Fallout as well, and she's doing amazing over there, but I definitely miss her over here as well.
I was just wondering how she was even going to have the time to do this, because, yeah, she's got 2 other shows that she's a really big part of.
Yeah.
That's the good news about this episode, but we also had the debut of a new character, and, you know, cover your ears, close your eyes. Hey, I'm a llama. I'm here. Why am I from the Bronx? What's with my accent? Okay, that is a terrible. I apologize.
So was the llama's accent. What is happening here? I understand you want it to be weird and dreamlike, so it's very clearly in a dream, but that llama, bruh, it took me right out of this episode. It was so hokey.
Yo, I'm the llama, get out of here. It was just so ridiculous. Listen, this show is known for having its weird moments. We certainly saw this with Misty in season 2 as well. It's just,
but that was so much more fun.
I think the thing that Yellowjackets has to remember is, yes, they are in this sort of weird, surrealist atmosphere at times, but you still kind of have to focus it in on the characters and kind of what we're expecting. And there's a difference between fun and silly, and then you're just going so far onto another planet.
Yeah, I mean, I think the dream sequences got kind of taken away because of the llama, because we did have these other 2 dream sequences that were going on that felt a lot more serious, and then all of a sudden you have this talking llama from the Bronx, where it's just like, what is happening here? Someone's lost the script on this. Whoever came up with this idea just needs to go straight to jail.
That's the funniest thing about it to me. And I say this as a llama lover. They're one of my favorite animals in Minecraft. One time I built a castle in Minecraft that built a big stained glass llama on the side of it. You
absolutely did. But you did that.
The thing of this is that, like, not only did they take this much time to hire a voice actor for the llama, but they also had to render that llama. Like, this was not a cheap thing that they put together. They were that desperate, but we'll talk more about what these dreams actually mean. But beyond all that, we're going to get into what's going on in the present here with Misty, because I think there's a pretty big question now is, like, is she actually done with the Yellowjackets?
I feel like she should be. I mean, they don't treat her very well. That has been set up since they were teenagers. They don't treat her very well. They don't treat her with respect. Now she's an adult. The same thing is happening. It's just on and on and on. And, you know, at some point, she should be done with them. So, but is she really? I mean, it's very hard. These women as girls and now as women have gone through a lot together, and it's really hard to kind of break that bond, whether or not, you know, Shauna treats her well or not.
Well, we're going to get into that a whole lot more from this episode. Before we go forward here, though, be sure to hit that subscribe button, because that is a great way to make sure you do not miss any other coverage that is all about Yellowjackets. Also, Jess's birthday is coming up here very, very soon. We would love to get closer to 70,000. So give Jess a big old birthday gift and subscribe to the channel.
I would really appreciate it. We've been doing this so long and we're so close to 70,000. It would be a really cool birthday gift. And join our Patreon if you want more Yellowjackets coverage, and also to help support us further. We are covering over there exclusively The Pit, which is airing on Max, and Prime Target, which is airing on Apple TV+, and it is the only place that you can get that coverage in those weekly videos. So thank you so much to everyone who has hit that subscribe button to help us get to that goal.
Thank you guys. We really, really appreciate that.
All right, let's just talk about the llama. Okay, so everything that's happened at this point, the quick version is Mari, she has been let go by Ben. She is able to get back. She tells the truth to everybody. This is what happened. I fell in a hole. Coach Ben, he's alive. He's living in this cave. Shauna's like, cool, it's time to go get him. He tried to like burn us in this cabin. We're going to go get him. They go in there. They split up. three of them end up in a spot where they're having these dreams. They're in some sort of a poisonous part of the cave where they're having these dreams, and we see this llama. We see, there's sheep there, and then the talking llama. Oh my goodness. Okay, well, at least the llama said something kind of interesting.
Yeah.
The llama said everything with teeth will defend itself before the earth starts to swallow her up.
Yeah.
And it's true. I mean, in general, things that are like rabbits. I'm a bunny mom.
Yeah.
I've said that before here at the channel. Bunnies are prey animals. They typically are there to get eaten by other animals. We, have seen it in these episodes as well. But they also will eat your house to dust. Their teeth are something else. And when they are looking to defend themselves, a bite from a rabbit, it's not great. It is so bad. They will really hurt you. If you've ever seen videos of rabbits like fighting with each other or protecting themselves, it's something else to see. And I think that that's true. And I think the idea that we saw her kind of sinking into the earth, and right after the llama said this, it feels like it's the earth also has teeth, and the earth is also going to swallow you up.
Yeah, I think what we're seeing here in these three dreams, and, obviously, by the way, I think the influence of the white rabbit from Monty Python and the Holy Grail, a little bit more closer to realism than you would think, but
100%.
Yeah, so I think these three dreams, because we see them from obviously the point of view of Van, we have Aquila and the llama, and then we have Shauna and what's going on there, but they're all kind of manifestations of either worst fears or greatest pains, because with Van, we're sort of seeing kind of a reflection of what happened to the cabin with everything being set on fire and, that being such a hugely traumatic event. Aquila, who's had this connection to nature and the surrounding world.
She's the antler queen.
Really?
Tinfoil.
Oh,
I forgot to put that on.
Oh, okay. We're here now. We're here now.
I feel like she's the antler queen.
Well, and if Aquila is the antler queen, then, her connection to nature, that all makes sense. But then the fear is that nature is going to turn against you. Like, I don't know why it's coming to her in the form of a llama. There's no llamas, as far as I can tell, running.
It's the only way to make it a dream.
I guess so. What, you could have had a talking deer. I don't know. You could have had a talking insert any other animal that makes more sense. But that's neither here nor there, but obviously
one that didn't sound like Joe Pesci.
Yeah, one that please did not. Hey, I got some other llama friends back there. No, so the other thing is just that Shauna, obviously, everything that happened with her son, like that's devastating. And that makes perfect sense. That would be sort of the thing that she would dream about. So they're all kind of dealing with these manifestations of fears or painful moments, but then it's all sort of wrapped together in this weird bow by the presentation of Jackie, one of the most notable people that they have lost, somebody who we've talked a little bit already, like you spoke specifically about how Shauna and her feelings towards Jackie, are still present and heavily influencing her. And I think Jackie here is a manifestation of everyone's pain or guilt or suffering, this idea of not just losing her, but what they did to her.
Yeah, I feel like Aquila ended up becoming my number one suspect for Antler Queen. Not just that she is one with nature, the earth is swallowing her up, she's good with all the animals, but Jackie and the bracelet, because when Aquila ended up using, anybody remember those snap bracelets? That's from my time.
I remember those.
So when she had put it on, it fit perfectly. When Van put it on, it cut her. And then when Shauna had it on, it was killing her.
Yeah.
Like, it just felt like she was protected because she is the one.
I think there's a good chance of that. I don't think this stuff is for a reason. Yes, it is really weird. Yes, it went on for probably way too long, these dreams, because it felt like it took like 10 minutes. But at the end of the day, I think this is all either foreshadowing or symbolism. There's one last thing I'll say here, because there's all this talk on, all these people who are lost out here in the wilderness. They never mention Laura Lee. Is Laura Lee just like, am I a joke to you people? Like, was I ever really here? I know I wasn't here for very long, but still.
I know. Like, even seeing them have, like, these graves for people. Laura Lee not even being mentioned at all. Am I a joke to you? It's terrible. Like, they don't have to have her body or bones or whatever to be able to have some sort of a monument for her. Everybody else has a stone. Everybody else has something. You can't have something for her? Like, stop.
That's probably my biggest frustration with this show. As much as I enjoy it, is it feels at times like it forgets things from the past, and then it also at times feels like it's just sort of making decisions on the fly, which it probably isn't, but it's just like the Melissa storyline to me is a good example of this, where it's just like, oh, she's an important character now after all this time.
Yeah, and I mean, we also learned a lot more about Mari, and it seems like back in the real world before she was here, she was a mean girl then too. She did some terrible things to Coach, said some horrible things about him that really hurt him a lot, hurt his reputation a lot. And she's in here trying to be like, hey, Coach. He's like, are you kidding me? Even if I wasn't into guys, I would never be into you. I'm like, yeah, that makes complete sense. She treated him so badly before. Yeah. She's treating him badly here. He's not treating her well either. No. Like, how did she think that this was the move? I know she's desperate, but like, think it out.
I think what we saw with Coach at the end of the day, and this all leads into the big cliffhanger of what's going to happen to Coach Ben now, but it's a real reflection of, I think, the differences between him and what he's willing to do out in the wilderness versus some of the Yellowjackets and what they're willing to do. Like, Coach does some bad stuff in these first few episodes. Like, that's really clear. He's captured Mari. He's not letting her leave, but eventually he does let her leave.
But he's not eating people. Like, he's in there eating bats, which is, not great.
No,
not great. Not tasting great. Not a great idea in general.
Yeah.
But he's willing to take that risk of eating a bat, which is a high risk, than eating a person.
Yeah, like, he still has, like, an element of moral fiber to him. He's not anybody's favorite character, and I more than understand that, but he is somebody who is holding on to some shred of humanity. And I don't know if that's because he's older, he's had more life experience, he's not able to adapt to being out there, and maybe he is just a little bit too self-righteous for this world, where in order to be in this world, you have to do some really, really dark things, and he's just not willing to fully go there, and I think that's probably going to be his undoing at this point.
Okay, tinfoil hat.
Yeah.
They're not going to kill him. I know that they are like, you're coming with us. We're going to deal with it. You burnt down the cabin. The more that I've been thinking about this, even though he was the person that was out there with the matches, with the rope, and it has to obviously be him, there's something in my gut that's telling me that it actually wasn't him, and that whoever it is going to come forward and say that it's them, or Coach is going to have enough sort of evidence to be able to show that it wasn't him. I really think he's alive in the present.
I want to believe that he's alive in the present, just because that's the most interesting story to me, is that he's alive in the present.
Because here's the thing. He's on his moral high horse. Oh, I'm not going to partake in the Jackie or the Javi of it all. I can't even be around you girls anymore. You guys are doing things that I could never get behind.
Yeah.
But then he's going to like set that cabin on fire and kill a bunch of people. Yeah. It doesn't make sense. Like, it just doesn't make sense. No. The more I think about it, the more I'm just like, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, like, he's going through a hard time, clearly. He's willing to do certain bad things, but there's a difference between capturing somebody and taking out a bunch of Yellowjackets in the fire. Like, you're absolutely right about that.
Yeah, the thing that kind of turned it around, like, I hated watching him tie up Murray and bring her whatever, but the fact that he actually helped her fix her knee and get her out and then let her go, I was just like, I don't think he burned down that cabin.
He gave her hot chocolate. This is the biggest commodity of all time in this world. If somebody gave me hot chocolate, I'm pretty sure I would be like,
is that all it takes?
Yeah, I'm a sucker for hot chocolate. Give me hot chocolate, I'll stay with you in the cave. No, I'm joking, but I think really though,
pass the bat.
Here's my tinfoil hat at this point. Okay. I talked a little bit about this in the premiere, but I've kind of solidified it further. That I think the person, and this is going to be frustrating, I know, for some people out there, the person who burned down the cabin is Jason Ritter. And we don't even know his name on the show yet, but he was cast seemingly, and they've been really careful not even to confirm anything, but he was cast seemingly for that bonus episode that they filmed that they haven't aired. What I think is going to happen is we're going to see some sort of cliffhanger later this season at some point where we're going to meet that character. And it's going to be that thing where we're going to meet that character. It's going to be revealed that he did it. And then we're going to go into that bonus episode and understand his backstory and everything that led to that character doing it. I don't know if that's going to be satisfying for people, because I'm sure they would rather it be somebody they know, but that's kind of where they're probably going at this point in my brain.
I will be satisfied with it. I'm a big Lost fan, and when they brought in the others and that there were other people that were already there before them, I mean, that is the same here. That cabin didn't build itself. That hole full of supplies didn't dig itself.
Yeah.
There were other people that were there before. They've seen some of the symbols around the forest. There are other people that are either still there or were there before.
And I'm more than fine that we have another in the form of Jason Ritter. He is Melanie Linsky's husband. You cannot insult this man. Shauna gonna come for you otherwise. As long as they don't bring in the Nikki and Paolo of Yellowjackets, I'm fine. I'm okay if we have the others in the form of Jason Ritter. I just hope we get answers on that this season.
Absolutely. Okay, so Van's cancer has stopped metastasizing after the waiter sacrifice. And we see Ty and Van getting, even closer and closer and closer. We see that Ty is really getting back into this praise the wilderness. Oh my goodness. And of course it makes sense, right? The person who is her love since they were teenagers, teenage sweethearts, is now possibly not going to be dying of cancer. I mean, she's willing to do anything to make that stop for her. And I completely understand. Anyone would do anything for the person that they love. And if that means sacrificing a waiter and lighting a candle, let's light the candles.
I think where all of this gets tricky, and this is the same question we've asked with Yellowjackets for years now. And I think this is where it's interesting, but it's also frustrating. Is all of this coincidental? Is there something really to this, that it's spiritual, that like losing one life is preserving another? Because Ty is probably the most down the hole of anybody other than maybe Lottie with a lot of this. And I think at this point, Ty is inclined to really believe it, especially because of this idea that, oh, Van is going to be alive because of this. But Van's also not the first person ever who, has some sort of cancer diagnosis, and there's been some sort of way that maybe her life's going to be extended. Like, it doesn't have to be supernatural. And I've said before, I think this show may be spiritual at times, but I don't think it's full supernatural. I think some things are just a coincidence.
Yeah, I mean, Ty ends up seeing this old VHS tape that they're watching, Pee-wee's Playhouse, and they see this commercial for this ice cream shop with this man with no eyes, basically. And I was just like, who came up with this mascot for ice cream? Like, you also need to go to jail right away. Stop it. So they end up going to this ice cream shop. It's all closed down. They break in. They see this coyote with a rabbit in its mouth. I mean, this is very much a theme this season of sort of bunnies, which, as I said, they are prey animals, coyotes, wolves, people, different animals that are not. And I think that it is sort of that seeing back and forth of the position of the Yellowjackets, sort of taking each other out, who are the prey, who are not, that sort of thing. But I mean, at the same time, it was something that was I guess we'll call it a bit of a coincidence, to see something like that. But at the same time, it's not. I mean, I live in Southern California. I've unfortunately seen coyotes running on my lawn, chasing my lawn bunnies away that come and have their dinner every night, eating my grass, which I'm fine with that. But those coyotes, man, they will come out and this is very common. So while at the time, you've got Ty and Van kind of looking at it being like, wow, what are the chances that this came on? What does it want? Van's like, oh, it wants more. I'm just like, this is pretty common if you're living out here.
Yeah, like there's a lot to unpack in all of this, and I'll have a couple of story times like sprinkled in here. Let's start with the scariest mascot of all time in this ice cream shop. Like,
brutal.
This reminded me, and I grew up a Dallas Mavericks fan. Well, don't worry, I bailed on them long before the Luka trade. I'm a Raptors fan now. Go Raptors. Raptors. But they introduced this mascot. I don't think they have them anymore, but his name was Mavs Man, and it was like, here is the living basketball, and it was like this dude who had like a basketball pattern painted all over him, or
That's terrible.
it looked like he was going to come and rob your house. Like, this was not a particular, you want mascots to be able to go and, like, hug kids and be enthusiastic and be fun, but it was terrifying. And this stuff does happen, but every time it happens, I'm always like, what's wrong with you? Like, why do you think this is good? But anyway, I'm bringing this up mostly because Ty clearly saw this mascot at some point a long time ago,
Right.
and this is probably the inspiration for the figure, the man with no eyes, in her mind, which she has sort of manifested as this arbiter of darkness.
And
But
she has admitted that that might be the case.
and it might very well be the case, but it might also just be that I think sometimes, especially when we're young and we have a dream that kind of sticks with us for a very long period of time, we just associate symbols with things that aren't fully the case. Like when I was little, I used to have a lot of recurring nightmares about like this evil ostrich like thing that was coming and giving me these horrible commands or whatever. Still a little scared of ostriches to this day, but they can kill you. I'm not afraid.
They absolutely can. That's a good thing to be afraid
Yeah,
of.
like they're legitimately scary, but I'm not afraid of any other birds. But anyway, what I'm saying is just that
I don't like birds.
I'm fine with most birds, just not, I love penguins, but most of these symbols from like our childhood dreams, they stick with us. And I think because this particular symbol was just so chilling to Ty, and she probably has had all these other fears, especially out in the wilderness, that something's going to happen to her friends, to the people that she loves, and she's willing to do, like you said, whatever she can to
Whatever.
protect these people that she loves. That I think she attaches this idea of fear with also this idea of, okay, this is happening. I need to create a reaction to it. I need to make this happen. And I think a lot of it, for that reason, is in her mind. There might still be something spiritual, but I just think there's a psychological explanation if you would just go to therapy, Ty, and work through some of this. But yeah, everything with the animal part of this is, yeah, that's just common almost anywhere. It's coincidental, sure, that they turned up at that exact moment, but I don't think we need to really have some advanced discussion as to whether or not that's possible.
Yeah, that's not a mystical thing. That's a pretty common thing. But is it common that's going to show up exactly when you're
Yeah.
there? I don't know. I mean, yeah, 100% because it did happen. So let's talk about the story that I'm having the hardest time
boy.
believing, which is Callie and Lottie and them like bonding. What did Lottie end up telling Callie to make her be okay with the fact that she was trying to kill her mom? Like, I just can't buy into this story. I'm sorry. I am having a very hard time with this. I
Yeah.
know that Shauna is not the mother of the year, but at the same time, she is Callie's mother. This is Callie's family. And I know that teenagers can, teenage it up and,
Yes.
be angry at their parents and stuff like that. But when it comes down to it, someone's trying to actually kill your parents. I think that being a teenager and teenagering it up is over at that point, and you're just like, no, I'm not okay with this. Shauna's not that bad of a parent that Callie should ever be okay with Lottie being in the house anywhere near her mother. I would not be okay with it. And I don't buy that Callie is either, to the point that she's like, we're dancing in the kitchen to Lost songs. We're going to the store and we're stealing stuff. And it's you and me. And I'm now wearing Jackie's necklace. I don't believe any of this. I don't believe that Shauna would have ever let Lottie stay there in the first place. I don't believe she ever would have had Misty come and babysit the situation. I just don't believe it. It's losing me, and I hate to say it.
It's hard. Like, it's really, really hard. Because I know Shauna's not mother of the year, and that's been proven across a couple of seasons, but it's also been
She
proven.
loves her family. She does.
Yeah, that's the other thing. It has been proven that she does love her family. And even if you make mistakes, you still love your family. And it's just like this decision is not really fitting that characterization. I will have my 30-second rant about make your own kind of music, and then I will never bring it up again. I hated this. I hated that they brought this song up in this show because it just made me think of Desmond. And I love Desmond. He's one of my favorite characters from Lost, but your show is already being compared to Lost.
A lot.
I don't think you need to do anything else to remind people of Lost, because then we're
No.
going to start being like, okay, is somebody meant to represent Desmond in this moment? And then you're probably getting people off base, or you're making people think about how good Lost was. I just think that's all really, really problematic.
I agree that song choice was not right. Especially, yeah, there are too many comparisons to Lost.
Yeah.
Ben is already living in a cave. You might as well be in a hatch
Yeah.
playing your own kind of music.
Yes.
Like, it just is too much like Lost.
No.
There's so many great songs from that era that they did not need to use this song.
No, they didn't. But in just with the whole Lottie situation, there are just so many other better ways that Shauna could have handled this. And it really just feels like to me that, okay, the writers, for whatever reason, have decided that they want to give Callie a larger role in the story, despite the fact that I'm sure there are Callie fans out there, but I don't know anybody who is like, Callie is my favorite Yellowjackets character. I wanted so much more of her.
After what happened in that season finale with Lottie, 6 weeks of being sort of institutionalized doesn't make a lot of sense. It truly doesn't. I hate to say this because I really like the Lottie character a lot, but she needed to not be in this season and maybe released at the end of the season or near the end of the season as more time has passed.
Yeah.
This just isn't it. It's not working.
It is a situation here where you want to be kind of careful with when you bring characters in, because you want to bring them in and have it be really a cause of fear.
Right.
Again, it's sort of like you can't have the reverse Flash in every episode of The Flash after the first season. You got to be like, when you bring the reverse Flash back, be like, oh, bleep, there's the reverse Flash. Now I'm really legitimately afraid again.
Yeah.
And she's just here too much.
It was good to see Shauna finally be like, get out, after seeing that Callie is wearing Jackie's necklace, that she's just like, it's enough, you have to go. I don't know how Lottie was there in the first place. It's just, it is the part of the season that is really getting under my skin because none of it makes any sense to me. I just can't believe it.
I just also think that it's all kind of irrelevant to what I think is sort of the main driving force of the present story, which is this idea that somebody is looking into Shauna. And, we talked about this in the premiere that, you had suggested, okay, maybe this is the older version of Melissa. I think it could be Melissa. It could be, family member of Melissa. I mean, it could, I guess, be somebody else from the past. It's kind of hard to figure that out. But I still think that person is played by Hilary Swank because we know she's coming on board. And I am kind of infuriated about the fact that they made such a big deal about Hilary Swank, like a real award-winning accomplished actress. And she's not in the first few episodes of this season at all.
Yeah, I know. We're 3 episodes in and no Hilary Swank. It is odd. I mean, but it is building anticipation because she is an icon. She is an award-winning actress. She is a huge name to be on this show. I'm really looking forward to seeing her on the show.
Yeah, I am too. But you guys are taking too long with this other stuff that I'm not as interested in. Like the thing that's the most interesting thing in the present is the thing we mentioned at the start of this video. This idea that, is Misty actually done with the Yellowjackets?
Yeah. And I mean, we do see so far that every season, someone that was at this plane crash, one of the Yellowjackets is dying in the present. And who is it going to be this season? We have talked about, who we think it could be. And I still think that there is a possibility that this show will take a huge swing and kill off Shauna. And they are building towards it this season already, where Walter's been pushing with Misty, like, Shauna doesn't treat you well. All these women are not treating you that well. Like, people were calling all of them. They had to get to W before I would come and get you. Why aren't you seeing that you have never been treated well since you've been part of the team with them as a teenager? And this is the first time that Misty is actually seeing that. She has pushed herself into hanging out with Shauna, as she does. The brakes of the car go out. And my immediate thought is, Misty did this. And as I was thinking that, Shauna's like, Misty, did you do this? I was like, okay, I'm glad you asked that, because that is something that Misty has done in the past, that she will create these situations to try to like bond with people and spend more time with people, these traumatic situations, because it worked when she was a teenager and it has worked as an adult. So I felt like maybe she's behind it, but she took huge offense to this. I don't know why, because she knows that she's done stuff like this. And she's over the friendship. She's burning their picture. I mean, is she the person that's going to end up coming after Shauna?
I think it's still possible. The most important thing to remember here is in this situation, multiple things can be true. It can be true that Shauna's fellow Yellowjackets do not treat her well, but it can also be true that they are totally in the right to think that Misty would do something like this because of
Yes.
Misty's history. And I'm not surprised that Misty does not have the self awareness to really understand or take full ownership of the things that she's done, because
Right.
self awareness has never been like her forte. So I'm not shocked that she has gotten to this place now where she's really mad. She's, like you said, she's getting rid of these photos. The question I have for Misty now is, okay, you feel this way now, but she's somebody who has been so emotionally dependent on them that if they come back around, or maybe one of them says one thing that's nice to her, is she just going to forget about all of this and kind of go back? And then if you're Walter, and this would get more into your idea that, oh, maybe Walter takes out Shauna, I
Yeah.
think it's going to just make him so frustrated that even after all of this, like, they could still win her over with a line or even just like a nod and a smile in her direction.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing that might be turning it in a different direction is the loss of Natalie. Because for me, watching the show, I feel like Misty's connection to the team
Yeah.
has always been Natalie. She thinks that Natalie was her best friend.
Yeah.
Natalie has been the person that was the nicest to her, even though, Natalie wasn't always nice to everybody. But I think Misty really felt like Natalie gave her a little more leeway than anybody else did. And now that Natalie's gone, and
Yeah.
Natalie for her was the person that was the link that was keeping Misty in this group. Now that she's gone, she's sitting back realizing that the rest of the group never really cared about her that much. Ty is off with Van. Shauna doesn't
Mhm.
care. She's sort of kind of on her own. Like, it's done.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough to see how really any of these Yellow Jackets in the present can kind of find their way together, but I need to see them all not linked together in a way where Lottie is at Shauna's house, but this
So
story,
dumb.
no, this story needs to have them all kind of interacting with each other in some way. But
Yes.
before we say goodbye to this video, it's one more thing from the past I wanted to bring up that I forgot about earlier, and
All
this
right.
is, you mentioned in the premiere discussion a little bit about, Natalie sort of, I don't want to say loyalty to Coach, but she seems to be a little bit more lenient to let him go
Mhm.
than anybody else. I do think there's something to be said if, like you said, the idea that, okay, maybe Ben is still alive in the present. If Natalie is the quote unquote antler queen for now, maybe she's going to be the reason why he ends up being okay, because she can leverage whatever sort of power she has until, like, I can't see him staying with them again forever because it's too dangerous, but maybe he's
Right.
going to get enough time to escape again and find some place where he can actually be, quote unquote safe.
Yeah, I think that his purpose right now of coming back with the girls
Yeah.
is for them to have found this cave system, because there
Mhm.
seemingly is a lot of answers in there, almost kind of like the cave system underneath Fromville, if
Yeah.
anybody out there's watching, from where all the monsters are, and there's a bunch of stuff down there, and there's a bunch of answers down there. It feels like there's a connection and a lot of answers in this cave. And now that they've discovered the cave, it feels like something that they're going to maybe continue to go back to try to get more and more answers on what is going on.
I am really curious to see where this season goes from
Yeah.
here. Yeah, it's been up and down, but it's had some really great moments. It also had me, the talking llama.
No,
Hey,
no,
I'm
no,
still
no,
okay. No, the
no,
llama's
no, no,
gone.
no,
I'm
no, no,
sorry.
no,
Okay,
no, no,
well,
no.
that is all we have on Yellow Jacket season 3, episode 3. So be sure to hit that subscribe button so you guys don't miss any other coverage. Also, help us get to 70,000 in honor of Jess's birthday.
Thank you.
And you can support us further by joining our Patreon. That link is in the description. We're covering exclusively there Prime Target, as well as The Pit. 2 really good shows. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
We'll see you here next time.